Welcome to The Drive with your automotive experts and hosts, Lauren Fix and Karl Brauer. Each week we dive into breaking car news, share our latest vehicle reviews, and bring you up to speed on what's happening in the automotive world. Buckle up and hit the road with us. This is The Drive.
Welcome to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. I am Lauren Fix with my very good friend Karl Brauer, who's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, but together we are going to give you some great car information you won't get anywhere else. How you doing, Karl?
Doing great, Lauren. Looking forward to another show with plenty to talk about. I think we've identified some fun concepts and topics, as well as some fun people to interview on some important issues.
And don't forget, if you miss any of this or you want to see the video portion, check out our YouTube channel, The Drive Car Show. We're also available on all podcast platforms. So
Yes.
I saw something that you saw, and we both had the same opinion. I'm kind of laughing. I can't believe that Audi's doing this.
Yeah, they've introduced a new supercar, and ostensibly it's the Audi version of an existing Lamborghini car. Not that that hasn't happened before, but instead of it being a Huracan and an R8, it is now the Temerario and the new Nuvolari. Sorry.
I'm glad you can sing, 'cause I can't.
All of you listeners to my singing voice for just a second there. But yeah, the Nuvolari supercar, mid-engine, very similar twin turbo V8, very similar to what's in the Temerario. But interestingly, it makes more power than the Temerario. And a lot of people are like, whoa, Lamborghini's kind of stepping on toes here, aren't they? Isn't Lamborghini always supposed to, have the advantage in terms of pure performance numbers because they're Lamborghini and not Audi? And usually the answer to that has been yes. But apparently Audi's like, no, we're doing our own thing this time, and we're going to take the power as high as we want. So
But
it
that
makes
doesn't make
900.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And it's a hybrid drivetrain like with the Temerario, but in this case it makes 987 horsepower. So I believe the Temerario is around 800. So it makes a chunk more horsepower than the Temerario. And of course it's all-wheel drive because it's an Audi and a Lamborghini. They're both those brands are pretty much all-wheel drive now.
Right.
But that
And they're the
4-liter
same
twin turbo,
ownership. We should note that they're the same. For those that don't know, Volkswagen Group owns Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, Lamborghini. What am I missing here? Skoda,
Bugatti,
Fiat,
Ducati.
Yeah.
Actually,
So
I think they just sold Ducati, but anyways.
so the Germans own a couple Italian brands. But the one thing that to me was polarizing was the look. The first thing that came to my mind was, okay, it kind of looks like an R8 mated with the new Jaguar Type 00 or 01, either one. But the one that everyone thought was a joke, it looks very similar. Like the same designer came from Jaguar over to Audi.
It's a chunky monkey for sure. I mean, it's just got a lot of slab sides and a lot of hard edges, which is funny because in my past, I've really liked cars like that. Like one of my favorite cars was the Lotus Esprit, like the James Bond era one that goes in underwater. And even like the TR7 and TR8, I mean, I truly do like the wedge shape and all that, that design.
Different.
Is that Giugiaro, right? Didn't Giugiaro do both those and stuff? I kind of like that look.
Well, Colin Chapman was the one for the Lotus Esprit Turbo. I'm a huge fan. I would own a Lotus Esprit Turbo, although everyone who has one has electrical issues. And if you own one, you'll nod your head and agree.
I see them on Bring a Trailer or advertised and all, and I'm like, ooh, and then I'm like, oh God, how much am I going to have to work on that thing or have someone pay someone to work on it for me? So it scares me. But yeah, so the Nuvolari it's cool. It's also got a aluminum space frame. It's not using the same kind of chassis construction. I'm looking at all the facts here for
look at the price. The price is what everyone. How expensive is this, Karl?
Well, they're supposed to cost over $500,000, but they're only going to make 499 of them. So one less than 500. And, you and I both know the rule, Lauren, you got to make rich people feel special and then they'll spend money. So if they tell them that, we're only going to make 499, then people will, it's a limited production car.
So it'll be at 700,000.
Yeah. Is it an attractive limited production car? Is it an effective limited production car? Is it a good limited production car? I mean, that Ferrari Luce, I'm sure they're going to make limited production of those too. So, right. But
they claim that Ferrari Luce is all sold. To me, it looks like a mouse from an Apple mouse. If you were to build an Apple car and put the Apple logo on it, the Ferrari Luce is it. That is exactly what Apple wanted to build. You put a Ferrari logo on it as a Ferrari owner, that's insulting.
Well, do you think there's ever ulterior motives for buying a Ferrari besides the car that you're actually buying. I've heard,
Yes.
I'm just guessing. I've heard rumors that maybe sometimes people occasionally, on very rare occasions, sometimes buy a Ferrari because it's an ulterior motive on another Ferrari. But
That's
maybe I'm just
exactly
making
true.
that up. And
That's true on Porsches too. It's true on all the high end cars. If you have the funds, the assets to purchase a Pagani, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, you're gonna walk into even Porsche. You walk in, they go, "Do you own a Macan, Karl?" "No, I don't." "Well, you need to buy a Macan. Keep it for a period of time. Trade it in for a Cayenne. Then we'll get you in, do a Cayman, and then we can step you into a 911. Oh, you want a GT3? Yeah, well, you'll have to, buy an older one first. And everything's like periods of time. And these people take losses. On Ferraris, I know people that bought Purosangues and paid $900,000 for a custom car, kept it for 6 months, and took a $200,000 loss. I'm like, that's the cost of a house. Who are these people? These are people that live in a completely different world, and that's why they know they can get away with it. But Audi's case and Jaguar's case, I don't see how they're going to charge this much money and get these kind of sales, much like the GTD, and you've already had your opinion on that as well.
Yeah, I do hope, I like to think, maybe I'm just being unrealistic and overly optimistic, which normally isn't my nature, but I do feel like maybe we're getting a new level of awareness. And I think cars like the Luce are only going to further push it, which is maybe it's not worth it, even as a wealthy individual. Maybe I got to be a little more discerning and not just write a check because, well, this is the car. Got to it's the car. Everyone's like, because I feel like that used to work. It's like, well, is that the car to have? Well, then I got to have it. Do you know have you looked at the performance figures? Depreciate. Everyone says it's the car. Where's my checkbook? So I think we're getting past that. And I think wealthy people are getting a little more like, no. Am I going to lose money on this? I don't know if I want to buy this. And by the way, I think what's helping that is look at how many exotics have come out in the past 5 years. Most of them, let's just be honest, most of them are from classic brands and they're electrified now, and they're just not doing very well on the used market. And the pre-electrified cars, especially if they've got 3 pedals, are going through the roof, Lauren. So I think
absolutely 100%. Yeah. And it's interesting. I have a very good friend, and then we're going to cut to a break, who has a lot of Ferraris, and he was invited for the Luce launch. And I sent him a message. I said, "Are you going to buy one?" He goes, "Absolutely not." I'm like, that proves your point 100%. People are waking up to the reality.
Good
All
for
right,
them.
we'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl, and this segment is brought to you by IC Cars. That's where I'm executive analyst, and we have not only all the vehicle listings new and used across the country that you can wade through and browse at your convenience, but also a lot of great data and information about what's going on in the industry. Want to know what car color has the best value for lack of depreciation and holds up the best? We've got that there. You want to know which car has the longest lifespan left, which cars last the longest if you buy one? We've got all that there too. A lot of great information, a lot of great listings. Check us out at iccars.com. So California, as I am painfully aware of as a resident here, Lauren, has some very interesting, and people know what you always mean when you use the word interesting policies. And one they're discussing now and is being under serious consideration is essentially outlawing non-stock tires on cars. You own a car, you just bought it, and you got a roadside, hazard that took it out, or maybe you've had it for 5 years and it needs its first set of tires. According to California's heavily considered bill, you have to buy the exact same tires the car was originally sold with. No other option.
What if they don't make that tire anymore? That happens all the time. Too
What
bad.
if,
right?
Yeah, what if you want to change your wheels? And if you change your wheels, you need to get a different brand of tire and a different aspect ratio because the standard tires don't fit on them.
What if you're going to put your car on a track? What if you bought a Mustang or a Corvette and you decide you want to put it on the track and not drive it all year round? Can't do that
What
either?
if you spend a lot of your time in the higher altitudes and you need all season or snow tires instead of the factory tires that it came with?
Yeah, these are things that, of course, are not thought of because politicians in general, they get driven places. They don't drive like you and I. And when it comes to tire choices, you might want to get a better tire because I think what the car brands know and the consumers don't know, and politicians definitely don't know, is when they make an agreement, like Goodyear makes an agreement with Ford, all the Fords of that model of Goodyear's, and maybe the next one is I don't know, a Nokian tire. You don't know because it has to do with money. And then once the money is agreed, then they'll design a tire for that car. That doesn't mean it's the best tire. It's the tire from that brand they made an agreement with. So who's making money on this? This makes no sense.
I don't know. I feel like maybe it's the tire companies. Maybe the tire companies are greasing the right palms, and they're like, look, we want to have a guarantee. We want to think about what you just said, Lauren. That means if you're a tire company and you make an agreement with brand X on model Y, if there's a lot of car sales in California, a lot of cars in California. If the state that's got the most cars and the most car sales has all of its residents required to keep buying the factory tire, how much value did that agreement that you made with the brand, with the tire brand versus the car brand, how much value did you just add to that agreement? So maybe
if I have
that's
a
what's driving
94
this.
Camry, I have to go back and find what tire was on the car originally?
Well, it's completely ridiculous. What if the original tire isn't very good? Like you said, the reason that they do this is because a car company looks for a tire company that will give them what they want at the price. Everything's a cost for these cars. And I will tell you specifically, and to protect the guilty, I won't go into specifics, but I will tell you, I had a car in my past, and the factory tires that it came with were not good tires.
Oh, I had
And
one of those
everyone
cars
was
too.
swapping. I think you might know about this car.
Yes,
and
I
everyone
do.
was swapping to a different brand that was far superior.
Yes.
And this is a car that you weren't worrying about fuel efficiency with. You were worrying about not losing control and crashing. And the factory tires were actually terrible for avoiding that. They met a requirement by the automaker, but they were terrible for that. And the replacement tires that everyone started using once they realized this and found a new set were far superior. And the idea that you could not put what would be a better tire, a safer tire, because you live in California and you own one of these vehicles is ridiculous. It's crazy.
I worry about this because taking away consumer choice is a huge, huge issue. This sounds like the federal government may have to get involved. You can't make these kind of laws.
It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to be right back after this.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment brought to you by Classic Tube. If you're restoring a car, you want to keep that vehicle on the road, check out Classic Tube pre-bent brake, fuel, and transmission lines, all made in the USA, made here in Buffalo, New York. So make sure to check it out, classictube.com. And we have a very special guest this time around. We have from Topdon, a very nice gentleman named Chad Schnitz. He is vice president of the company, but he's also an automotive diagnostic expert. And I want to have you talk about the company and what Topdon is, because you may not realize it. You may already have some of their products in your home. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Tell us about how you got into this business, because it's not like you get out of high school and college and go, I'm going to do this. So you must have gotten here in an unusual way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated with an associate's degree in high performance automotive, and I thought I'm going to go build race cars, right? So
Yeah.
I did that, automotive repair, running a shop, go build race cars, nitrous superchargers, and then 2008 happened, and all of a sudden people aren't building race cars anymore. So I got a job doing sales, and I like tool and equipment sales, and I just got into, hey, I'm really good at this scan tool and diagnostic thing. And my career has grown from wrenching on cars to selling the tools to wrench on cars and to diagnose what's going on. So here at Topdon, I took over in 2021. We do diagnostics, thermal imaging, battery testing, battery jump, stable power supplies. And I get to use my knowledge from the field when I was working on cars, and I still work on cars, to
That's
build
good.
better tools for the technicians of today.
So for the consumer that's listening, and I know we have some repair shops that also listen in, but for the consumer, tell us what kind of products you have available and what you're also working on a couple different initiatives to keep it so you can work on your car. So I'll let you address that.
Yeah, absolutely. So anything 1996 and newer, as far as vehicle wise, have an OBD2 port. So this gives you, the consumer, or me, the professional technician, the ability to see what your car is thinking. Why is your check engine light on? Why is the car not running right? Why is the ABS light on? So as a consumer, it used to be only just check engine light. But now if you're at home trying to do your own brake job or your own oil change or just to change a battery in your car, now you need to have a scan tool to be able to do that and to tell the car, hey, I need to retract the brake calipers, or hey, I need to do my oil life reset. So we manufacture those tools so you, the consumer, or you, just the home hobbyist, have that ability to do that. So you may already have our tools just to do check engine, but we make tools that work on your phone to be able to do all those service functions as well.
And I actually have your tools. I didn't realize it when we were going to talk. I was like, oh, I already have your product. So that means you're making really good product, because I buy nothing but the best. So that's good to hear. So what else? So you're working on a few initiatives that I think that people will be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on the board of tool and equipment for the Auto Care Association, and one of our big things is the right to repair and being able to give you, the consumer, the ability to fix your own car. And what we're seeing more and more is a lot of the OE manufacturers are saying, no, yeah, you own the car, but we own the data or we own the access, and you can't do what you want to do, whether it be just changing the oil or doing a brake job. Now you need to have security gateway access to make sure that you can get in it. So
Yeah.
we're working hard on our side to be able to partner with the OEs, partner with the aftermarket to be able to do the right to repair initiative, just giving you, the homeowner, the car owner, the ability to do your own work, but also to be able to give you the ability to take your car wherever you want to, being able
Right.
to take it to an aftermarket shop. I live in Indiana and I'm in the middle of nowhere. My closest Mercedes dealer is 2 hours away.
Wow.
If I own a Mercedes and I needed to get it serviced or it broke down and I don't have the right to repair it anywhere, now all of a sudden I have a 2 hour tow bill plus that fee. So we're working really hard to let the aftermarket be an alternative to a dealership and to give that aftermarket repair shop the ability to have the same access as a dealer would have.
This is interesting because I know that President Trump brought in all the CEOs of the car companies here in America and said, hey, listen, you need to open this up. Now, I know that some states have already agreed to it, but it has to be nationwide. So no matter what you own. And I'm also a big fan of the right to repair because nobody wants to find something where you can't work on that. And I'm sure you've run into that too as well, Chad, because I have as well, where you can't get to that. Even as simple as I have a Porsche Cayenne diesel and I wanted to get a new oil filter and they told me, oh, it's a special tool. I'm like, so I bought the special tool. So why should that be a challenge? And that's part of what Topdon does. You sell a lot of these tools, but it's also, I think it's a great way for consumers to save money.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's to do an oil change at a dealership now, you're looking at $400 if you own a higher end European car, where you can do it yourself for $125. So, yes, it's a great way to save money, but we're car people. We want to do our own work. We want to touch our own car. I know that I tightened that drain plug and I know that I topped it off properly. So, if you're a car person, you want to do your own work, the right to repair is a big piece of that. And we have states that are really driving that forward. But like you said, it's not enough. It needs to be a national program. And what just happened with John Deere is a huge step forward for us. What we're doing at the Auto Care Association and the advocacy behind that has been a huge step. And this is bipartisan. This is, we're working with both sides of the aisle because everybody's driving cars and everybody has the same challenge. So this is not a Republican or a Democrat issue. This is a consumer issue.
I
We
agree.
know that if only the dealership could take care of your car, that there would be so much backlog out of all the cars that are on the road. So this really is about not only the consumer saving money, consumer preference, but also about just being able to take care of cars, keep them on the road, and keep them going.
And keep them safer on the road. And I think that's really important. And you can go to Topdon, Topdon, check out their equipment. If you're a shop, you should have their stuff, no question. And if you're a consumer, you certainly want to look into the onboard diagnostics so you can save yourself money and find out what's really wrong with your vehicle. Chad, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We're going to have you come back because I want to talk about some of the other things you're working on, but we do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. While Karl is out test driving some vehicles, I have the pleasure of interviewing a very special guest from Pirelli Tires. This is Corrado Roca. I hope I said your name correctly. He is in charge of the cyber tire development. And I was really curious, like cyber tire. That's to me, like cyber sounds like space and really cool stuff. But I wanted to bring Corrado on to talk about some of the new technologies and how it's going to make you safer on the road. Welcome to the show, Corrado.
Hi, Lauren. Thanks for inviting me. Pleasure to be here. Yeah, why Cyber Tire? We started many years ago in Pirelli with the vision, because the tire has always been a fundamental item in the car because cars move thanks to tires. But we wanted to shift the role of a tire from being just a mechanical element transducing forces to generating data. And so the idea was that since the tire is the closest item to the ground of the vehicle, which is actually touching what's going on, by placing a sensor inside the tire, the idea is to grab information which are then used by vehicles to improve safety, vehicle dynamics. So what do we do basically? We place in our factories inside the tire a sensor. The
Actually,
sensor
in the
is
tire, not a tire pressure monitoring system. Which,
no,
okay.
that's a novelty, and I would say also the benefit, because the traditional tire pressure monitoring system, it's on the rim. It's meant to give you pressure and sometimes temperature as well, but you don't feel the ground with that, right? It's just purely meant to give you pressure information. If you put this inside the tire, in the inner part of the liner, every time there is a revolution and the tire touches the ground, the sensor is grabbing some data, because in the sensor we have pressure information, temperature information, and also accelerometric information. So the real data which are related to the ground forces which make car go around. And these information are sent wirelessly to the vehicles. And then there is a software. Since we are tire experts, basically what we do, we translate this raw data into usable information in the car electronics. As you know, more and more cars today are, let's say, I call them software on 4 wheels, right? Because there is lots of electronics.
Yeah.
And now, you know, as tire people, we were jealous not to be part of the game. So we said, okay, we want to introduce software inside the car. And our algorithms, which are basically made through the capability of us to understand what is going on from this data, are then sent to the vehicle electronics information, just like aquaplaning or hydroplaning presence, or information about grip. Grip, you know, is related if a road is icy or if you have, let's say, a dry asphalt. And then it looks like a basic information, but very important is what we call tire ID. So in our factory, basically, we create a real digital twin. So we write into the sensor the tire that is then mounted into the car. And if you think today, cars don't know what is the tire which is mounted, right? You may mount the summer tire, winter tire, performance tire. They're all, let's say, round and black, but they behave very differently, as you know.
True.
And if you basically, the way today OEMs or tier ones are optimizing cars is just taking into account that they don't know what is the tire. So they have to make what we call an average calibration, for instance, for the ABS or the ESP or the traction control, which is good for any tire you mount, but never fully exploiting the capabilities of each tire, because first of all, they have to ensure safety. So I cannot fully exploit, you know, a performance tire in a performance car if then a customer is mounting a winter tire, which would be totally different, and the tuning would create an unsafe or unstable situation. With this simple information and the combination of the software and algorithms, which I was mentioning before, we open up a totally new era of opportunities for tuning of cars.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. So safety first, we have proven that by optimizing the tire parameters for each tuning, you can gain from 2 to 4 meters of braking distance. That, if you think, is a huge, it's almost a car distance. So it's a difference between hitting a wall or just braking before getting into risk. We can deliver hydroplaning information. And then the idea is how do I use this information? Here is the fact that we cooperate with tier ones, you know, it's open. We have an agreement with Bosch, but it's non-exclusive, or with OEMs. And we define what we call vehicle functions. So for instance, let me make you an example, hydroplaning detection, right?
Right.
As you know, hydroplaning is a very subtle phenomenon, which I would say we give a kind of life insurance. You want never to use it, but when you step into the problem, you want to be sure you're able to detect prior it becomes an issue. So with our technology, we can start to feel an hydroplaning when it's an early stage. So when still you have grip, but if you keep on throttling or going in the same water patch, then you would lose control.
Right.
By sending this information, we can simple way alert the driver, maybe by pretensioning the belts. So you start to be, in a kind of cautious mode, or through an automatic system, lowering the speed, which is the typical way to exit from hydroplaning, because hydroplaning is a speed-related phenomenon. This is just one of the examples of the potentials of this technology.
So this kind of technology must be coming from racing or from something that's a higher performance, because I think the average consumer would love to be safer on the road. It's good for lowering insurance rates as well, because now you've got a connection with the roadway, because it's the only thing that touches the ground is 4 tires. So I'm really excited to see this is going to be coming to people soon. When is this technology coming to the roads?
Yeah, actually, as per every new technology, and as Pirelli, we love fancy cars, performance cars. We started for the high segment. And the first delivery of this technology was in 2021. So I would say over 5 years ago with McLaren Artura. Then this was followed with other cars like Pagani, which was the first time that a tire and an electronic active safety system were cooperating together to improve safety. Of course, you may say, okay, Pagani, is a luxury car, limited numbers. True, but if you think the capabilities of a system like ours to integrate through software via electronics is valid for 70 cars or for 7 million cars, right? The problems you have to solve are the same. The scale is different, but that was for us a great learning curve to start to feel the potential, showcase to customers. Now we're working with Aston Martin. We launched the special series with Audi. So we see it coming. Of course, we are discussing with many OEMs in the 3 continents. Of course, it's a matter of a lot also of education of the potentials of this technology, because we've been basically opening this market, showing the potentials. But the tire before, let's say, us pushing was just a passive element. So we need also to do a lot of demos. We have several demo cars which are used and driven by our customers, so they can really feel that's I don't like slides, right? We want to give a car into the hands of customers, test it, show real braking improvements, obstacle avoidance, improved also not only objective test, but also subjective, because when you exploit better your tires, as you know, you have a smoother braking. You can have a better handling when you have a sport car in your handling and curves. So I call it a kind of platform effect. By the way, you mentioned TPMS. We can also replace TPMS with some customers. We did the worldwide homologation. Of course, we don't do this just to do a traditional TPMS system, but the opportunity is that by using our system, then the OEM can also save some money and replace the legacy system with ours as well.
Well, this is very exciting. We do appreciate you coming on the show and talking about some of this new tire technology. You can find more information at Pirelli Tires. Look for it online. Check out your local Pirelli dealer. Great information. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl, and this segment is brought to you by Karl Brauer Cars. That's my YouTube channel where I'm putting up a couple videos a week. Could be everything from the new Bronco Filson, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes here, to the Lamborghini Temerario, to the new Chevrolet Bolt. Not really new, it was brought back, but a lot of stuff on there. By the way, one of my videos, Lauren, that's done I did a while ago, but it's like sprang back to life for whatever reason, is the Honda Moto Compacto, their little briefcase-sized electric scooter.
Did you buy one?
I did buy one, and I really think it's cool. Although I have to tell you, it had some kind of fault. It's not even running right now, and I've got in my spare time, I got to pull something out and replace, I think it's the throttle controller. They're known for going out. Maybe I hit a bump or something and it made it unhappy. But
you liked it, though. You said it was fun.
I do like it overall, and I mean, I like how functional it is, because you can throw it in the trunk of a car, go to service your car at a dealership, and if it's 5 miles away, ride the Moto Compacto back. You can't drive 2 cars at once. I haven't mastered that skill yet, but this is the closest you can get. This is realize it's like you drive the car and then you pull out a scooter from the trunk and you ride home. It's great.
Very cool.
So speaking of driving by themselves, where we want to get to, Lauren, is where cars can drive by themselves, because the possibilities that it opens up are endless, including needing to get 2 cars to the same place at the same time and you only have 1 driver. But there are some downsides to it if the technology isn't ready for prime time yet. And we've continually heard about different things. Sometimes it's Tesla, sometimes it's Waymo. Uber had their issues in the past. So this is not going to be a clean transition getting here. But what's really messy right now that has just popped up is that apparently China, the country, is suing Tesla over its full self-driving technology.
Wow.
And essentially what they're saying is it was misrepresented. And now remember, a lot of people purchased this technology in 2019 and 2020, and they were paying, a fair amount of money to have full self-driving. And Elon was saying, this is right around the corner. Just pay for it now. The hardware's already on the cars. We'll just keep updating the software and eventually you'll have it. Well, all those cars from that era, Lauren, they had like the 3rd generation hardware 3, HW3 as it's known in the Tesla circles.
Right.
And now that hardware is not capable of what full self-driving is capable on the software side. You have to have newer hardware. So all those people who bought those 2019, 2020, right in that era vehicles.
To 21, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think up to 21 and paid upfront for full self-driving technology, which by the way, still doesn't exist even today.
Right.
Although as Roman told us, the first 2,000 miles of their Tesla Model 3 they bought in January did drive by
Lots of
itself.
comments on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see everything that Karl and I have been talking about this whole show and any show, check out the Drive Car Show on YouTube. And Roman had some video that he sent us that's there.
Yeah, from TFL Car, and it was some good feedback from him and some good feedback from those commenters, as you're saying on our channel.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, there's a lot of people who were just kind of left out of the full self-driving technology capabilities after paying for it, and so China's consumer rights protection law has plaintiffs utilizing it to sue, and it's a lot of money per vehicle.
Really?
And
How much?
Well, I was hearing that. Supposedly there's, approximately $583,000 US.
How do you do that? Per car?
I don't know if that's
Car
per
didn't cost that
car.
much.
Yeah, they don't even cost that much. I don't know. They've got a high number. They're saying that given all the vehicles that were sold there and how much each one of them could be worth with the damages and stuff, this could be a lot of money. This could be a lot of money that Tesla could be owing back to the consumers in China. Now Tesla is saying that some full self-driving functions were fully operational right from the start, but others were under development. But the plaintiffs are saying, the people that are suing Tesla are saying, Tesla already had to rename it in China to Tesla assisted driving.
That's right.
Which sounds like a tacit acknowledgement that full self-driving was a misrepresentative term, which is the whole point of the suit. So right there, you could say that Tesla's own activities have led to supporting this claim.
How do you claim that on a Chinese law? You sue a U.S. car company. I wonder how that's going to unfold.
I don't know, but China's kind of an important market for a lot of car companies, Tesla being one of them. So, with lots of owners, consulting lawyers, they're saying, over 1 million HW3 equipped vehicles were sold there. Over 1 million vehicles.
That's a
so you can imagine if the settlement was $50,000 or let's just say $10,000 per car, which it's going to be more than that. But if it was 10,000 times, over 1 million vehicles, that could be a big bill for Tesla to pay.
Wow. You know that Elon will fight it. He'll figure out something. That's going to be extremely interesting to watch. And we'll definitely keep you posted on these type of things as they pop up.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to see what they do, and maybe could they do like a retrofit? I don't know. Would that be probably more expensive than the settlement?
Yeah, that could be. If you still own the car, of course.
Assuming
the
you still own
culture
the
in China is different. They keep their vehicles longer, so.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be interesting, but we're gonna see what happens, and we are gonna take a break, and we are gonna be right back.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment is brought to you by Car Coach Reports. It's my news channel where we cut through the noise, give you facts about information you probably don't know. We cover interesting things like flock cameras, kill switches, and a lot of other information. Check out Car Coach Reports on YouTube, and you will be much more knowledgeable. You will embrace the facts. Knowledge is power. All right, Karl, you just went on a very interesting drive event that I was unable to attend. But I want you to tell us about it because you were telling me in the break, and again, anything that you missed, you can check out on our YouTube channel, The Drive with Lauren and Karl, or The Drive Car Show on YouTube. Tell us what you did.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They took us up to Seattle, And they introduced a new version of the Bronco called the Bronco Filson, Filson. Now, a lot of people, and I'm going to include myself in this, have either not heard of Filson or are vaguely aware of them. I thought I hadn't heard of them, and then I realized, oh, wait, no, I do remember seeing that logo on tags probably like 30 years ago when I was first getting into motorcycles heavily and looking at leather jackets and finding out that there was this very well respected Filson company that's been around since like the 50s making jackets. Well, they've actually been around, Lauren, since 1897.
I didn't know
and
that.
They are known for their rugged off-road kind of lifestyle type jackets and bags. And that background, that rugged outdoorsy, wildernessy background is what made it a fairly obvious partner brand for Ford and the Bronco, because the Bronco kind of is outdoorsy, wildernessy too, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
I own a
they
Bronco,
went ahead
but I own a Bronco Raptor, but that would be cool.
Well, so this is what's interesting is they let us tour the factory and we got to see how the stuff's made. A couple things real quick about Filson, it's worth talking about. They have lifetime guarantees on their clothes, Lauren.
Really?
You buy a jacket, it's a lifetime guarantee. And yes, they have a division, the guy talked to us about it, that repairs old jackets. People have brought in 20, 30, 50-year-old jackets that have a tear, and they have a division that repairs these things.
That's impressive.
They're lifetime guaranteed. They told us the oldest one was an 86-year-old jacket someone brought in. They actually let the guy come to the factory and watch the whole process because they were like, this is a little unique. And they're always super careful because they want to be super careful, obviously, with people who've got 20, 30-year-old jackets with an 80-year-old jacket. They were like, why don't you come in? You can watch us do our work. So this is a brand that stands behind their product, obviously. So they decided to partner with Ford. And apparently the story goes that they were working on some of their most recent stuff in the last like 5-6 years ago. And they had the Ford Bronco that was just being announced and coming out as their inspiration on the wall. And Bronco had Filson on. Literally, someone talked to somebody finally, and it was like, yeah, we've been using your product as kind of our inspiration on our development wall. And they're like, we've been using your product as inspiration. And they're like, well, maybe we should talk some more. That's supposedly how this got started. Yeah. So you get this Bronco Filson. It's going to, the Outer Banks open this summer, and it's going to be in the dealer showrooms in July. And what you get is you get a Ford Bronco with the Raptor engine, the 3-liter twin turbo V6. Now, it doesn't make as much horsepower. They haven't given horsepower figures, but they admitted we're not tuning it for pure performance. We're tuning it basically for more torque. So it's probably going to have a little less throttle response, a little less peak horsepower than the Raptor, but it's still going to have more power than most other Broncos.
Nice.
And then all Bronco Filsons have the Sasquatch package with the 35-inch tires. That's standard on them. They all get the front and rear locking differentials, you know, all the things, the trail turn assist, the trail control, the low speed cruise control. So the idea here, Lauren, was premium vehicle with no loss of off-roading. And where does the premium come in? They all have ventilated and heated front seats, heated rear seats, digital rear view mirror, and power retracting running boards.
Oh,
so
nice.
Everything I just said has never been on a Bronco before. So you're getting the first
you gotta jump up in our Raptor.
Exactly. It's hard to get in and out, and they knew this. So they wanted to make it easier to get in and out, premium, but they didn't want to risk off-roading. Power retracting. Don't rip those things off when you're off-roading, seriously. So that's the idea behind the Bronco Filson. As much premium as a Bronco's ever offered with zero compromise to their off-road capability.
Did they give a price?
They didn't give a price. I think I'm going to just throw this out there because I heard someone say something, was it 75, 80, like not going to be cheap.
Well, but you're buying Filson quality, and that's the key. So are the seats made of Filson leather?
That's the cool thing, Lauren. So the seats have like the double stitching with the quilted. They have Filson bags like down at the door pockets. Now the door pockets have these kind of cool high quality leather with seams that look very much like the seams, double stitch seams that you see in the jackets, but those are now the door pockets. And then the cargo area up on like the top part of the cargo area, like zippered in, was another Filson bag. So you get Filson leather, you get Filson bags, and you get the cool badging on the outside, and there's a plaque inside and all that kind of stuff. So you get this very cool, and then unique colors. It was field green, and then there's a launch edition that is going to be limited, and it's like, I'm not going to remember the name. It's like copper. It's a copper color, and it has it's like a iris sandstone copper. It's got some crazy name, and it was a very cool copper colored exterior. So
will Filson offer aftermarket seat covers or seats for people like me?
There was a bunch of Filson stuff. They showed us Filson Bronco shirts, and there were bags. There were a lot of like Bronco badged Filson produced apparel things as well that we saw at the factory when they let us tour the factory and saw the big store. So
yeah, so if you own a Bronco, you can go to Filson, Filson, and then Ford's going to have. I'm sure Ford will have it in their dealer stuff. You can buy it online through their Ford Performance or whatever. That's awesome. It sounds like you had a
cool
great
stuff.
experience.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Well, that was a great show, and we appreciate everyone listening. Check us out online, and we will be back next week on The Drive with Lauren and Karl.
You've been listening to The Drive, your trusted source for the latest car news, expert reviews, and real insights into the automotive world. Thanks for riding along with us today. You can check out the entire archive of every episode on our YouTube channel, The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and join the conversation by leaving your comments. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay safe, enjoy the ride, and we'll see you right back here on The Drive.